they taste like nothing, and I love
Brown
them.
rice cake thins are the post-it note of
They're the
Trader Joe's snacks.
Post-its are more exciting than brown rice thins. But I love them, except I don't love the packaging. Trader Joe's, if you're listening, if you could update and improve your organic brown rice cake thin packaging, that would be awesome. It's very hard to keep them fresh.
Dear Trader Joe's,
I love
please be
you.
a sponsor and also change your brown rice cakes because they suck, but I still eat them
I
and
love
they
them.
are,
It's just the packaging is kind of hard. But I love
yeah.
them, and I love you, Trader Joe's. I spent $200 in your establishment recently. I love you. I think you're great.
Sorry, you just caught up from being a little frozen. So I'm assuming that the brown rice cakes were, you just had something else to say about them.
No, but I did. You know how I said just now? I was like, if I have brown rice cakes next to me, I'll just eat them. And then as you were talking, I realized I wasn't paying attention. I put a rice cracker in my mouth and I was about to start eating it. And I was like, I'm being recorded. Don't eat the crunchy crackery snack. Okay, well, I just spit them out. That's why I spit them out, is because I was like, audio poison. But then I realized that I spit them out on camera and I was like, not better.
It's okay. I didn't warn you that I started recording. I just was like, "Oh, we're
I
talking
saw
about
it
funny
though.
things. I should right. I should start
I
just
did
in
see
case
it
there's any
though.
fun preamble banter. Like I should just try to capture it." But
The
then I
preamble
caught you
banter.
spitting your disgusting brown rice snack out onto your hands. Brother sibling. Here we go, and it's the theme music, and we're brother sibling
A big
movie. I don't remember
movie.
how the song went the last time we sang it, but we're gonna make one. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, friends and chosen family, to Brother Sibling Movie, a podcast where two siblings, hey, that's us, talk
Yep.
about movies that we love from our childhood and some that we may be discovering for the very first time, centered around a different theme every season.
Hi, it's me. I'm your brother, Evan Kerna.
And I'm your sibling, Mare Morgan.
And this week's movie is Princess Mononoke, Hayao Miyazaki's 1997 anime masterpiece.
Yes, we are covering 90s sci-fi and fantasy films this season, of which this movie is a shining, stellar example. It is definitely from the perspective of Eastern mythology, unlike a lot of, I guess, quote unquote, mainstream Western fantasy.
Yeah,
But that makes it even better and more exciting and more awesome. And
so
we
much
can't wait to
better.
talk about it. We can't wait to talk about it.
I love Princess Mononoke. This movie is one of the 3 movies that vie for my top spot as my favorite movie of all time. And they
Okay,
all tend to
so
be adventure mythology based kind of movies.
okay, wait. So Princess Mononoke, Twisters. What's the third one?
uh yeah, Nicolas Cage's Pig.
Got it. Got it. Great.
No, that's a great movie too, but no, it's unfortunately not in my top 3. I'm not a Cage head, although I do love what he brings to the table. No, my top 3, if anyone would ever care to be interested in this, is probably Lawrence of Arabia, Star Wars, and Princess Mononoke. So just adventurous
Mm.
man adventure films.
All adventure epics.
Just to give a quick idea of Princess Mononoke for anyone who has not seen it, and if you have not, you better go out.
You best get to step in to watch it
You
immediately. Post
best.
haste.
Yeah. Princess Mononoke is an epic fantasy film set in Japan during times long past, in the times when gods and demons roamed the earth. It also takes place in a time during a lot of social upheaval, a time of much social upheaval in Japan, where there's a lot of tension between the natural environment and industrialization. It's an epic movie, and it has a hero's journey situation, but really the importance of it centers on the dichotomy between humans and progress of industrialization and the ancient forces of the forest and the spirit of nature. It's incredible. So
It's so good. It's
um,
just
I
go watch it. How have you not seen
yeah,
it, listener?
I
God.
I went recently to view it with my friend Dax at the John Ford Theater here in Los Angeles, which is a great venue, and it was. I mean, every time I watch this movie, I get something new out of it. I notice a small detail, or there's like a big picture revelation of something I had not considered. The movie is so deep and layered in uh, it's so fully realized in what
Yeah.
it brings to the table. Every character has is a complex picture. No one except maybe Ashitaka kind of is purely like good. Everyone is shades of gray. Um, there are so many competing but understandable uh, uh, desires and missions that all of the different characters are vying for,
It's
and that
definitely
tension, it's just great filmmaking.
it's definitely a real testament to like the anti-hero archetype, because there are so many, and even like you could even argue that Ashitaka is sometimes not the good guy. Um, but
True. Hmm.
everybody has very complex motivations and nobody's story is clear cut, and no one, and it's just like it's a brilliant piece of storytelling and character development and everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
And this time watching it, I realized seeing it this time that I've never actually watched it with the Japanese dub and subtitles all the way through.
I watched it
Um,
with Japanese subtitles for the first time this one through as well.
Normally when it comes to Studio Ghibli films, which anybody who's not aware, that is the foundational, that's the animation studio that Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata and Toshio Suzuki founded years ago.
Wow, that was off the dome.
It was a trivia question at the screening that I went to.
Cheap as fuck. Okay.
Yeah. When they asked the trivia question, I was like, "Ooh, I remember Toshio Suzuki and Miyazaki, but I can't remember the third guy's name. Damn it!" It was Takahata. Anyway, um, but
Bad nerd.
yeah, bad nerd.
Bad nerd.
Um, but oh man, what was I talking about? Yeah,
Sorry.
uh, no, it's okay. It was
Studio Ghibli. You were talking about Studio Ghibli.
yes. If anybody
Or
who's not
Ghibli.
familiar, Studio Ghibli is a very famous anime studio from Japan. If you're listening to this podcast and are not aware of what it is, I'm not quite
I
sure what you're doing here, but
don't
I'm happy if you're discovering it for the first time.
I mean, can you imagine discovering Studio Ghibli for the first time right now and the
Ooh,
sheer joy that is about to be unleashed upon your life?
yeah, you
I
better
can.
watch out because it's gonna be you're in for a treat.
You're in for a fucking major treat.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Anyway, I
and
got so much. I there were so many. Like it's already a very layered, complex story, even in the English dub. But I was getting so much more meat out of this watching
mm,
it with the subtitles. I was like, oh man, like there's even more complexity than I realized in little subtle ways. Not just in the way that people that like. Typically, I bring up that point as a way of like, oh, there's all this like the way that the Japanese language is and the way people address each other. Like that's true too, but it really was just like, oh, there's very slight characterization tweaks and like
yeah,
even more subtlety to the way information is introduced
I was
in
gonna say
the original Japanese dub.
that is one thing that fun bit of trivia, correct me if I'm wrong on this. The English translation, the script for the English translation was worked on by Neil Gaiman. And
Right. I've heard
it
that,
is,
yes.
yes. And it is, I would say, like a very beautifully done and maintains like 90% of the original like
Yeah, no,
intention,
there's
characterization.
there's
It's
great
a great
stuff there.
it is a
Hmm.
great dub. It's beautiful. And
Hmm.
I agree with you that when in watching it in Japanese with subtitles on, I was like, "Oh, that slightly changes that character's motivation," or, "Oh, that like
Hmm.
grounds it more centrally in Japanese like framing or cultural thinking, I guess."
Hmm.
And it
Yeah.
was really cool. It was really awesome and
I would argue that it's also has to do with the level of subtlety that different audiences are able to handle. Like there's
oh yeah,
certain things that are like
100%.
left that are like uh there are certain things or that are implied in the Japanese dub
Yes.
that kind of in the English dub are sort of straight out told to the audience because American Western English people uh, have such a small window for
Well, and
uncertainty.
also
They're
that's
like, wait,
true.
what did they mean by that? It's like it's so much better when these things are implied. I'm thinking specifically of when uh, uh, Jiko it meets Ashitaka, and he's like the Amishi tribe. I heard they also have Red Bulls and blah blah blah. But I
Yeah.
hear they were all wiped out. In the English version, he's like, "Don't worry, I won't tell anybody your secret." But in the Japanese version, he's just sort of like, "Interesting, you ride a red elk and you have this Red Bull, cool." And
Huh.
Ashitaka just kind of is like, hmm.
Well,
And they
and
don't take it there. They're just like, "Oh, we know that he knows and he knows that he knows," but like they
yeah,
don't explicitly say it. So like the little changes like that are
right.
fascinating to me.
So, and I would also say there is a something to be said for the, just spelling it out for a Western audience, but I think part of that also
Yeah.
has to come down to like cultural competency of
Yeah.
we don't have a cultural like as Americans, we don't have a cultural touch point for like the Amishi people being a culture in Japan many hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Yes.
In the same way that they might. Even just by like showing the men who have beards in the tribe, because like Amishi means hairy one or something, or like hairy one
Ah, yes. That's cool. I
in
didn't know that. Yeah, the
Japanese.
Amishi are
Like,
okay. We're getting into the weeds and already talking about this. So let's talk a little bit about our connection as children to this movie. I so my version of the story of how we came to this was that as kids we were we had Disney VHS tapes a lot and like animation like so many other children growing up on things.
yep.
um, and at some point I feel like our father discovered My Neighbor Totoro and
Yeah.
we started watching it and we loved that movie as kids. My Neighbor Totoro is a story about two little girls finding a spirit in a forest who's a big fuzzy creature, kind of like a teddy bear or like a big
And
rabbit
he's
or
the
something.
best.
Yeah, and it's a very minimal conflict kind of movie, except for maybe the third act. But there's a very like, it's just a warm, fuzzy, nice kids
Yeah, it's
movie,
a
and it's all
very
about nature.
well, and also PS, when you rewatch it as an adult, you're like, "Oh, this is deeply traumatizing for these two poor girls." Um,
Yeah,
but it is a it is a kids movie. Like it is a
yeah,
movie for a child audience, I would say.
yes,
Obviously, watch
yeah,
it as an adult. It's beautiful and you'll still get a lot of joy out of it,
yes,
but it's for a younger audience. And so when
yes. So in
the yeah,
1997, I'm 10, you're 7, right?
7. Yeah.
And we hear about, oh, there's a new movie. I think it's directed by the same guy who did Totoro. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. So I remember going to see it with a childhood friend, Raphael, and his mother in the theater. We're 10
Oh
years
yeah,
old.
it was
I
us.
am.
Yeah, it was
This was
us.
my, I don't, were you there too?
I
I
was
don't
there too.
remember.
Yeah. It was like
Cool.
us,
Yeah.
Dad, Raphael, and Teresa, I think.
Yeah. So we're all going into this movie being like, oh, it'll be like a cute kids movie like this guy Miyazaki. I mean, we did see the poster. There's like fights with swords and stuff. So we're like, oh, but maybe it'll be kind of like
Yeah, it's
cutesy, or,
fine.
it's advertised on the Miramax poster as being like Star Wars meets, I don't remember, but so we're like, okay, it'll
Okay.
be like an adventure. But man,
Holy fuck.
I can't tell you, like, watching this for the first time, it was another one of those eye-opening movies for me as a young kid. Just like, whoa,
It
it's another introduction to kind of like adult themes that you're almost not ready to understand, but it gives you this. As a child, it gave me it opened up my thinking to this whole other world of just philosophies and the adult world and things. I was like, oh, I was almost not ready for that, but it's incredible. It blew my mind wide open.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me. Um
What was the scariest part?
Well, we'll go through the synopsis, but basically the setup of the film, like the first sort of major scene in the movie is the main character Ashitaka being attacked by this giant demon creature that is made of just swirling, squishy, angry, purpley black worms. And it has
Hmm.
red glowing eyes and multiple legs, and it's like moving super fast, and it is fucking terrifying to me,
It's
a
pretty
7 year
scary.
old. It's
Yeah,
pretty
a 7-year-old
scary.
would be like nightmare fuel.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, the whole film was kind of nightmare fuel a little bit, like, when you get, like, later into the film and there's the people in boar costumes, like, those were terrifying, like, there's, like, people being exploded and all this stuff, so I was terrified, and I don't think I rewatched it and again until I was maybe, like, 12 or 13, by which point I could actually like take it in a different way than a 7-year-old can. So it was but yeah, no, my first experience watching this was definitely very, very scary. But our dad loved it, and so I think we had the DVD or something like pretty soon after its release, because
Yeah.
it is a beautiful, beautiful film.
So yeah, so very seminal to our childhoods. Very important movie to me, to both of us, I think. Let's get into it. Let's get into our deep dive on Princess Mononoke. So, Princess Mononoke opens on a forest, misty, mystical, mythological, um, and we are told through text or voiceover, if you're watching the English dub, that in ancient times, gods and demons ruled the land and still walked the earth. So we're in ancient Japan. We got gods and demons, and then we watch as a giant, disgusting, wormy foot tramples the forest
And kills
uh,
everything it touches.
and kills everything it touches. Smash cut to title Princess Mononoke. We're introduced to that's right. We're introduced to Prince Ashitaka of the Emishi tribe. The Emishi tribe are, they're not nomadic. I guess they're just sort of like a tribe of Japanese people, sort of living a more or less simple life. They are people of the land. We are made to assume Ashitaka rides a red elk named Yakul,
Oh,
and
yeah,
yeah,
cool.
Yakula is the best. And we're
So
thrown
good.
right into the fray, the middle of things. Ashitaka says that the oracle is asking everybody to come back to the village, and something's in the woods. So after he takes a look up, goes up to the guard tower to check it out, squishy evil worm demon monster comes out of the forest, and everyone is like, it's a demon, what the heck is this, this is crazy. So there's a
And it's like real mad, guys. It's
yeah,
real mad.
it's not happy about nothing. So Ashitaka then takes off to try to fend it off from getting to the village, but his sister and some of the ladies, the other young girls trying to get back to the village, get back, and he's trying to ward it off and say, go back to the forest. You get the sense that this guy is like pure-hearted in some way, because
he's basically like, you're angry, but we don't have a problem with you. Like, please, like, leave our village alone.
Yeah, please. But in the course of fighting off the demon god, he has to defend the young women and his sister who trip and fall and can't make it to the village in time. In that time, he looses an arrow on the beast, but during his fight with it, the worm creatures that are infesting this god latch onto his arm and leave him with an incurable curse, we come to learn. But he does defeat the god.
And
we learn... Yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, you do.
We learn that the god is actually a giant boar from a forest far to the west, named Nago. And Nago's got some anger issues. Nago is he's like all anger. The oracle comes up to perform rites over the dead body of the god, and in his final moments, Nago is like, insolent humans, you will suffer. It's like, whoa.
And then Nago immediately liquefies and becomes a massive skeleton covered in a viscous purpley red liquid, which is also terrifying. His like eyes fall into his sockets.
I never even clocked that as like a thing, but now looking back on it and thinking like what that would have been like for a 7-year-old to see, I'm like, oh yeah, that's super scary.
Real bad.
So Ashitaka is left with a imprint on his arm. It looks a lot. It's a purpley curse. It looks kind of like an infection that's taking over his arm, and he meets with the village elders and the oracle to learn of his fate. The oracle tells him that there was a iron ball lodged inside of Nago, which drove him mad and made him escape into the forest, which brought them to there. The oracle also lets Ashitaka know that it's an incurable curse and it's going to drive him mad and he's going to die from it. Kids movie.
Well, it's basically like, this is going to slowly poison you until you are consumed with the same rage and hatred that consumed this boar god. And it's real intense. Also, I would just like to make a shout out to the oracle's hairdo. It is really cool. It's like a whale spout with 2 loopies that go around it, and I love it.
It's so sick. Yeah, it's awesome.
And she's little. She's so tiny.
She's a tiny little oracle. She's a tiny lady.
She's a tiny old lady.
Little stones and stuff.
She's a tiny old lady, and I love her.
I want to just... What a great job, you know? Dude. I'd love to just cast runes for the village and tell people they're going to die a horrible death and send them on their journeys. But, you know, just kind of have to chill out in a nice tree house.
Sometimes we can't get what we want in this life, you know?
It's true. Sometimes we have to be podcast hosts, and that is our fate, I suppose.
I guess.
So the oracle importantly tells Ashitaka that he can't change his fate, but he can rise to meet it if he chooses. This is another great change in the in the translation, seeing it in Japanese this time, where he's like, there is a sickness in the West. I was like, wow, that isn't coded or anything.
For real, though. They were like,
I was like, whoa, damn, I never read it that way before. I like that.
Yeah.
Hayao Miyazaki. Okay. yeah. Quick aside: Hayao Miyazaki, if you don't know anything about this man, is a curmudgeonly old
Oh,
coot. Is that the right
he
word for it?
I I don't know. He's cranky. Um
Cranky old man. One of my absolute favorite memes of all time. Wait, can I share my screen? I can't do it in this, but I'll just describe it to you. It's from this incredible movie about Miyazaki making a movie of his, The Wind Rises, I believe, called Hayao Miyazaki: Never Ending Man. It's incredible. It's one of my favorite documentaries about one of my favorite people. It's I'll just say it's inspiring. Miyazaki is a crazy person who sucks the life out of everybody that he touches,
yes,
but it's all for
including
his love of cinema,
his children. Who
including his children.
whom
He's a problematic guy.
he does not have a good relationship with,
No,
surprisingly.
but he makes incredible movies. So is
He
it worth
makes
it?
he makes the
I
most
don't I think
incredible films, and he has such clarity of vision. And also importantly, Hayao Miyazaki was speaking to the whole like there's a poison in the West. Hayao Miyazaki was a child during World War II in Japan.
right.
Go
Mhm.
check
Yeah.
out some of the awesome shit that we did to that people
Mhm.
between the years of 1941 and 1945, and I hope you are
Yeah.
sickened and disgusted by what you find. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But
he's
also, don't take this to think that Miyazaki also doesn't have contempt and hatred for his own people, because
he
he's
fully does.
also equally as critical of Japanese people and how stupid they can be when it
One,
comes to A, war crimes, and B, industrialization and all kinds of things. So he's just a
yes,
curmudgeonly old guy
yes.
who
Because
hates
also,
everyone.
hey,
And I love him so much for that.
Japan in the late 30s through the 40s, you were also doing some real fucked up shit. Heard of the rape of
Hmm.
Nanjing? Anyway, guys, everybody was wrong. Everybody was
Yeah.
wrong
Yeah.
in a war,
human
believe it or
human
not.
beings are messed up, and that's really a big part of what Princess Mononoke is about. It's this
It
fight
is.
between humans doing messed up things but trying to survive, and forest gods trying to do their shit but also impeding the progress of humans. So
Yeah.
it's wild.
Okay.
um
So
Oh,
Ashi
the
talks about
meme I'm
how
talking about, is Miyazaki sitting in his home, and he says, quote, filmmaking can, oh, wait a minute, hang on. I better just pull it up to make sure I get the quote right. I saved it on my phone because I love it so much.
oh,
Wise words from Hayao Miyazaki. He's just wearing his little apron in his house, hanging out at his kitchen bar. And the subtitle is "Filmmaking Only Brings Suffering."
Jesus.
And yet he cannot stop himself from doing it.
He's
It's my favorite. I'm gonna make a T-shirt of this if it doesn't already
he's
exist.
like 95 or something. Like, you know how
He's very old.
everybody
He's like 85 or something like that.
I feel like he's older than that by now, but he basically all of our grandparents and everybody that is like was around and alive during World War II for the most part is passed on now. Fucking not Hayao Miyazaki. That motherfucker is a beautiful cockroach. He is never gonna die.
Again, make time to go after you've seen Princess Mononoke. Make time to go watch two documentaries: The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, which is just sort of about the founding of Studio Ghibli and the making of all the great things, and the title says it all. And then the follow-up documentary, Hayao Miyazaki: Never Ending Man. This man is on beast mode all the time. And anytime he stops making a movie, he's like, I hate this. I will never make another movie. People are stupid. I hate this. It brings nothing but suffering. And then as soon as he has 5 seconds to himself, he's like, I think it's time to make another movie. I'm
and
bored.
he smokes like 5 packs of cigarettes a day.
It's
Beast mode
crazy. He's
all the
he's
time.
like he is a demon brought from the
Yes.
depths to live forever and make incredible movies for us to
And make
enjoy.
beautiful, beautiful things for us to enjoy as he is like,
Yes.
fuck you. I fucking hate
Yeah,
you.
I promise I'll get back to Princess Mononoke, but me and my friend Steven went to go see him talk at UC Berkeley when we were like 24 or something like that. And yeah, one of the best moments of my life. We had such a good time listening to him be a curmudgeon and talk about how nobody takes care of the forest and everybody sucks.
Steven's also been to Japan and went to like Studio Ghibli's like thing, right?
Yes, he's one of the people that I know who has insider knowledge of what the Studio Ghibli museum is like, which sounds incredible. And I unfortunately have not been to Japan yet, but it's high on the
No,
list of things to go check out when I get there.
we should next sibling trip, Japan.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, Tokyo, Osaka, all the other places.
I just want to go into the country in Japan.
Yeah, we should do the Shogun tour and just go to all the places they go in that show.
I would die of excitement and joy. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Yes.
Here
Yes.
we are in the Japans.
In the Japans.
Oh man, Mr. Blackthorpe. Or what's his name? Blackwood, Blackthorpe?
Jonathan
Blackthorpe,
Blackthorne.
that's right. Yes.
I
The Japans.
because I am a civilized person, unlike you savages
Yes.
who eat
What
rice
do you
and
mean
take
bathing? Oh man. We'll do
Go
a
watch
well, maybe
Shogun.
one day we'll do another episode on Shogun, which is also great.
Fucking good.
Anyway,
All right.
getting
Back to
back to
Princess
Princess Mononoke. So Ashitaka chooses to rise to meet his fate and head to the west to discover what drove Nago insane and why he died with such hatred in his heart. Perhaps he's thinking he can also find a cure to this, as the Oracle said, incurable disease that is taking over and poisoning him.
And he has to like cut all ties with his tribe. He's the prince of this tribe.
Yes.
He's going to
Again,
be
another.
yeah, like he's going to be in the room with the Oracle are all of kind of the elders of the Amishi tribe. And the oldest one there basically is like, the blood of our generation has grown weaker over the years. Like, because the Amishi people were like systemically tried to be genocided by the emperor in Japan.
Yes.
And so Ashitaka is Prince Ashitaka. He's going to be the next ruler of this tribe, basically the next leader of this tribe. And he essentially in order to meet his fate, he has to cut all ties with the tribe. He cuts his hair and he like leaves his tribe never to be seen again and never to have contact with them ever again. Like for all intents and purposes, he is dead.
My favorite thing is
really
when he like chops his bun off and everybody's like, oh no, he's gone forever. And everyone in the audience is like, gaga, you just got super hot, Ashitaka. The haircut's dope. I'll put it that way.
Sorry, you froze a second, but yeah, Ashitaka gets fucking fine.
Point is book. I want to read a little. I want just quickly. Maybe we'll cut this out, but I just want to quickly read this ChatGPT historical context because I think it's interesting. The film is set during Japan's late Muromachi period, a time characterized by the weakening of the central shogunate, the rise of powerful regional lords or daimyos, and the growth of the samurai class. It was also a period of increasing contact with foreign cultures, particularly with European traders and missionaries. This era saw the beginnings of industrialization, particularly in weaponry and metalworking, which is reflected in the movie through Irontown, which we will get to. And yes, the Amishi, Ashitaka's people, are based on a real ethnic group indigenous to northern Japan who resisted assimilation in the dominant Yamato culture and were gradually pushed to the fringes of society. So this is really like, it is mythological, but there's a lot of historical, like Miyazaki's a smart guy. And watching this movie, I was reminded like, oh, this is like, because later movies that Miyazaki makes are very like, he's like breaking the rules because he's old and curmudgeonly. And he's like, I just don't like, screw this story stuff. I want to do as minimal amount of work doing the dumb story things I have to do to get to the fun stuff and get Ponyo in a boat or whatever and see oversized fishes. But this one really speaks to his craft as a storyteller. This is like the height of his ability at like building a structured narrative where all the pieces pay off and everybody has characterization and motivation that makes sense. and it's all within a historical context of real Japan. He really wanted to make a history, like a mythological history lesson
Yeah.
for people of where Japanese people came from.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like we were just talking about Shogun, which takes place in the 1600s in Japan, which is when Portuguese explorers and like Christianity was starting to come and you were starting to see Western influences in Japan. But this is like pure isolationist Japan. Like
Yeah.
14th,
They're isolating real hard.
they're doing it hard.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're an island. Ew. Ew.
Ew. So, setting off on his adventure quickly, Ashitaka is confronted by his sister, who it's against the law of the tribe, Kaya, to see him leave, but she doesn't care. She's like, I'm still going to say bye to you, and she gives him an amulet, a necklace with a I think it's like a piece of obsidian or something. It's like a little dagger. Yeah. So that becomes a little important later on, but it's a nice little sibling moment, which always am a fan of in movies.
Really love sibling moments because she's like, I don't give a fuck about tradition. You're my brother, and I'm never gonna see you again. Fuck that.
Exactly.
And it's really sweet. I love Kaya.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the best. I wish she needs her own movie. I'd watch that.
Yes.
So Ashitaka's off on his journey, swelling music, beautiful artwork. I mean, go get the Art of Princess Mononoke book if you're interested in a masterclass in environmental art. It's incredible.
Oh, God.
On the way to his journey to the west, he begins to encounter these feudal lords and daimyos taking over villages and pillaging them. And this time watching it, I was like, oh, they're killing and raping people. Like, this is a kid's movie. It's not really a kid's movie, but I was oh yeah, like this horrible stuff happening in the background is like for real war crime shit.
It is like it's basically like the emperors, like shoguns and samurais, literally raping and pillaging a town.
Yes. So this is the first instance where Ashitaka he's getting attacked by some of these samurai and runs away. And as he's beginning to confront some of them and just try to run away from the battle, his arm starts acting up and gets all real weird and wormy and wiggly. And whoa, what's this? He's got super demon superpowers.
He does.
This was so surprising to me, having not been an anime kid growing up. So
yes.
He looses an arrow on a guy confronting him, and the arrow rips this guy's arms clean off his body.
Like they stick to a tree. These two arms stick to a tree, still holding a samurai sword, as the guy then falls down with two stumps. It's
incredible. As a 10-year-old boy, I was like, this is awesome. So he loses another arrow, chops a dude's head off, and then he's off. And he's like, what's happening with my arm? Next, Ashitaka.
It's clear that he is not in control of this. It is clear that this is happening outside of his control. And he's like, I'm a good dude. I'm just trying to meet forest spirits. Why the fuck am I doing a real intense murder on these people?
Yeah, he's not happy about it. He doesn't want to be a murder boy. No. But it happens sometimes when you got a demon arm. So he makes his way to a local town where we meet Jiko, who appears at first to be a wandering monk. We'll find out later that he's actually got more to him than that. So this allows a little moment of exposition for Jiko to say, you look like you're on your way to find something, and you look like you're one of these Amishi people. They have a nice little moment, meeting in the village and trying to avoid ransacking people from the town who are trying to maybe rob them in the middle of the night. But Jiko gets to explain a little exposition that there's a place called Irontown further to the west where they make these iron balls that were lodged in Nago's carcass. And
Yeah.
after a nice little bowl of
Ashitaka, like, has
rice,
oh my
yeah.
god.
So
How
Ashitaka takes off in the morning. Yes.
P.S. How delicious does that like rice miso porridge look? It look
Oh,
food in
I want that
food,
bowl. I want to take that bowl with me everywhere I go.
dude, food in Studio Ghibli films is incredible always, like across the
Yeah.
board. There's something
Yeah.
about
Ham.
they're making this like rice porridge soup, and like he has a little scoop of miso that he puts in it, and it just like looks fucking delicious and so good. And like if anybody knows what that is referencing, please let us know. I would like to
Oh
make
man.
that.
My friend Jay has a theory about movies that no good movie exists without a scene where people are eating in it. Because
Jay's a very smart man.
yes, because it, and he's right. You know, when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, it speaks to the desire for it speaks to our human impulse, like to
Yeah.
it speaks to. I mean, it's it's also like movies that have no sort of like the characters have absolutely no libido. It's like you don't believe
Mhm.
that this person exists, you know? And it's like eating is such a fundamental thing to being human, and it's such a and it is practical, but it also brings so much joy that like
Mm.
when yeah, good movies have scenes with food in them. So
Fuck
I don't
yeah.
know. Take that theory with you and start applying it and see if it's true or not.
Yeah. I say yes.
Um So Ashitaka continues on his journey to the west. Meanwhile, we are introduced to a troop of people running oxen supply line through the mountains of a place of a part of a forest that looks very burned down and decrepit. And we meet Lady Eboshi, the
Oh,
mistress of Irontown, who is one of the
mistress
best
of my fucking heart.
villains. I hesitate to even call her a villain
See,
because she's like,
she's a power hungry industrialist, but she's not a bad person. Like
right.
through the as you get to know her more, you see that she is somebody that wants power and is somebody that is in power for a reason,
Hmm. Yeah,
and not because of tyrannical ideas. She's trying to take care of humans, but she's doing it at the expense of nature. And that's the only thing that's really bad about her. And I love her. And
exactly.
she, oh my God, you know, she's like a fucking Dom too. Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my
I wonder if that bodyguard of hers has had to submit to her
God.
sexual pleasures
Ooh,
when no one's looking. He's like,
dude,
I'll do
you,
whatever you want, Eboshi.
she's like, get on your knees. Let's do this.
He's like,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm dumb.
So Lady Eboshi it has basically guns. They're like
And
tiny cannons, but but there's a pack of god wolves that are attacking the convoy, and she is protecting against them. We also see a young woman riding on the back of these wolves, which is fascinating, and we don't quite understand what's going on yet. But the it's essentially some spirits of the forest coming to ransack this human caravan, and Lady Eboshi is fighting them off with ancient weapons. This time I realized that they were imported from China, which I
yeah,
didn't get before, which is kind of cool. So Lady Eboshi is protecting her caravan, bringing supplies to her hometown of Irontown against some wolves. And the giant mother wolf comes and gets blasted off the side of the mountain and falls down. People are like, "We killed it." And she's like, "It's a god. You're going to have to do more than that to kill her." And then everybody keeps going, and the caravan is whatever. And you really see Lady Eboshi's kind of like, in a sense, ruthless nature. It's not ruthless, but you know,
it's
they're like, "Should we
she
go save the guys that fell down?" She's like, they're dead. Let's get the living home. I'm like, okay, you practical girl. I like it.
it is. It's like it's not cruelty almost. It's like clarity of vision.
Yeah, she's very clear. She's an industrialist, you know. She knows what
Yeah.
she wants and she's going to go get it, you know, and she's going to help protect humans against. I mean, you think about it, and it's like, you know, we've seen what the horrors of industrialization and progress and even agriculture have wrought on the earth. But at the same time, we have to think back to a time when, like, oh yeah, if I was a human living in a giant forest of beasts, like, that are 10 times as big as me and
Yeah.
kind of want to kill me and need to eat, like, I gotta find a way to protect myself and the people that, are protecting me. So it really runs this fine line of being like, yeah, but like it's scary. And I got that so much more out of this viewing of it,
Yeah.
realizing like, yeah, these humans are trying to survive and like make a better life for themselves in a lot of ways, and they could just be living in harmony with nature and stuff like that. But like
Nah.
also, you know, you got to make guns and metal because it's cool. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's the cost of progress.
It
you know?
is. Okay. I don't necessarily want to just keep going specifically scene by scene, but this scene is super important and it tells me everything that it's informed my ideas of what romance ought to be in so many
Oh
parts of my
God,
life.
what?
No, it's the scene where Ashitaka is hearing is walking down by a riverbed and finds the dead bodies or the almost dead bodies of men that fell down into the river from up in the mountain. And as he's helping a guy up, he looks across the river and realizes there's giant wolves that are trying to help another giant wolf. Two kid wolves
That are the
are helping
size
a
of
giant.
oxen.
Yes, big
That are the
ox.
size of oxen.
Yes, but we get our first real glimpse of the young human woman who is also with the wolves. Princess Mononoke, the titular, the magnificent, my ideal woman.
This
And
is that preamble is so rough for what's about to happen just for you, I think.
what do you mean?
Cause so they see Maro, who's the mother wolf, who's like the big, huge, immortal god wolf, who has a bullet wound. And so Princess Mononoke, who is named San, like goes by San, basically goes up to the mother wolf and just starts sucking blood out of the wound with her mouth and like spitting it out as to like,
She's trying to get that poison out.
she's trying to get the poison out and everything. Um, and she looks across the river because Ashitaka is like, "Hey,
He's
am
he's
I?"
he's doing he's doing a little bit of light stalking. I mean, he's just investigating, but to his credit, he kind of jumps up and is like, "Hey, I was kind of looking at you, but like, it's okay. I'm just a person." Pretty quickly, he's like, "Okay, it's weird to just be looking at this hot chick from across the river."
We're back.
Okay,
Sorry.
we're back.
Sorry.
This is gonna be interesting.
Gonna be
But yeah, we get the iconic shot where San Mononoke, blood all over her mouth, shoots daggers across the river. She's clearly knows that someone's watching her, and Ashitaka, fresh-faced boy wonder, is like, "I'm Ashitaka." It's like 101 for like how not to flirt with a girl. It's like, "It's my
Yeah.
name and this is my mission." It's like, could you be less attractive right now?
and and so San basically, yeah, she just absolutely staring daggers at him, blood covering her mouth, standing next to these three giant wolves looking like a fucking badass. She just
Yeah.
spits blood out of her mouth, wipes her mouth, gets on her wolf, and is like, leave.
Yeah.
Leave my
Go
forest.
away.
Go away. Get the fuck out of here. And
And every
Ashitaka
man
is
in
like, my dream.
She told me she doesn't care about me or anyone else. I love her.
I love you. You're so cool.
Yep. That's human relationships in a nutshell. Yeah, San San is raised by the wolf gods, and she fiercely opposes Lady Eboshi and all the industrialization that she stands for. We'll come to find out that she is a protector of the forest and the forest gods and spirits. So Ashitaka, men from the river in tow, is like, I guess I got to find this Iron Town because I believe that's where these bullets come from. But he definitely has the feels mixing up in his body for this crazy wolf lady with the blood all over her mouth. So
he is gone.
yeah. So he takes two dudes, one who is sort of got a broken arm and one who is sort of whatever, near dead, through the forest. There's the only way to get to Irontown in a reasonable amount of time is to go through the forest of the forest of the deer god, the forest of the forest spirit, which humans are like, that's not a good place to go. We get messed up in there.
Yeah, exactly. Humans do not go through this forest, at which the guy who is conscious is very scared of this forest. He is like, what the fuck? You are an insane person.
I'm going to remind myself of his name. He's Toki's husband. Toki's the best.
Toki's husband. His name is
Kuroku.
Kuroku the ox driver.
Kuroku the ox driver. So Kuroku the ox driver is like, we don't go through that forest and these things are very scary. And then, but entering the forest, we get a little preview of the forest sprites, the Kodama. You have a cool noise that you can like hit on your thing because the Kodamas deserve that.
Wait, hang on.
The Kodamas are forest spirits, and they are the cutest little nudist in the whole damn forest.
They have these little butts, and they have these cute little faces, and they like turn their head to make this really pleasing clicking noise to show that they're happy. Like that's
anybody,
and that's how they show they're happy. That's so cute.
Yes, the stars of enamel pins and stickers on many a nerd's favorite backpacks and everything, paraphernalia.
I have little Kodama figurines that live in my plants, in my house plants.
Oh my god, me too. Not in my plants, but they hang out on my bookshelf. They're just protecting my books.
Yeah, mine are protecting my plants.
So, Ashitaka, realizing that his red elk isn't scared of these things, is himself not scared. Because remember, he's an Amishi and he lives as a human a lot closer to nature than any of these people do. They're very scared of things. So they make their way through the forest and it's very ethereal. They come to a giant tree that is sort of like the heart of the forest. Fun fact, many people postulate, myself included, that this is the same giant tree that you see years later in My Neighbor Totoro, which is the tree that the spirit Totoro lives underneath. It looks very similar. I have no evidence. There's nothing I've looked up that indicates that it is the same tree, but it looks very similar.
But that idea that tree is the Kodama's mother, and like that is the heart of the forest, which is also re-emulated in the book Finding the Mother Tree by Suzanne Simard, which I would recommend if any of you guys are interested in forestry.
More nerd books.
I got a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them. So Ashitaka and Kuroku and the other guy, the almost dead guy, make their way through the forest and make it to Irontown, where there's a little bit of a tense confrontation because everybody's like, who the heck are you and where are you coming from? He's got his face all covered up because he's like, I don't know these people.
Wait, there is one very brief thing.
He meets Lady Eboshi and brings her people back to him. Lady Eboshi...
Wait, I froze. Sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say, just very briefly, in the forest, Ashitaka sees something that is an otherworldly creature.
Very importantly, Ashitaka has
freak out again.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what
Ashitaka has a moment with a spirit in the forest that is seen from a distance, and it kind of freaks him out a little bit, as it
Yes,
would me too. Like, oh,
as it
I see a thing that looks
as it should.
weird.
As it
Yeah,
should. It is like a many, many, many antlered deer-ish creature, but you only see it in silhouette. But that is like, put a pin in that for later.
yeah. So, so Ashitaka, after these encounters, makes his way to Irontown with the men, and after Toki, the wife of Koroku,
Fucking Toki!
has a great uh, comedic
Ugh. She just
what's the word
balls
I'm
this
looking
dude out.
for?
She just absolutely is
Comic
like,
relief. There we go.
yes,
Whew.
yes. She just comes down and is like, oh my god, you're alive. Wait, what the fuck? You're hurt? Fuck you. You can't work now? What the fuck is your problem? Oh my god. Like, oh, and also, here's the other thing. Fuck you, in charge dude. Like, you don't do any fucking work around here. Oh, also you, I have a problem with you too. And she is just like, what is up?
This is a very woman centric. Irontown is a very woman, a matriarchy, if you will. It's a very woman centered society, and it should make all men terrified.
In a hot way.
No, it's great. It's very egalitarian. And, you know, another piece of the context coming into the Irontown sequence that I realized watching through it is that, like, oh, yeah, like, it's totally in the subtext that I read this time in the Japanese dub of like, oh, right, like these women typically, and it's even kind of set up again, implied from the earlier scene of the shogun, or not shoguns, of the samurai sort of pillaging the other town that Ashitaka encountered. Like, in this world, in this medieval world, like, women are not safe. Like, they are very
No.
much sort of at the whims of whatever the men in their lives or the feudal lords want to do with them. And in Irontown, it is a haven of kind of like this empowered woman leadership, and it's like
And
there's a very practical reason for them to be happy, even though the work that they do is quite hard and difficult.
and it's also that, again, Lady Eboshi specifically finds these women who have been sold into like slavery slash sex work,
That's right.
and
Mm-hmm.
and buys their contracts, because she's like, no, you shouldn't be subjugated. Like, you should have a better life. And I can offer, it's hard work, but you'll be free and you'll have rights and you'll be able to live and work and be so sassy. Come live with me. So it's like, again, Lady Eboshi is a good person in some way, in a lot of ways, actually.
Very much so. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. And that's kind of when I want to center this section talking about Irontown around. So we learn a lot of information, but Ashitaka shows Lady Eboshi the boar, and she reveals to him that, yes, it was indeed her burning down of the forest and her running out of the boar god Nago that got the bullet lodged in his, or the iron ball lodged in his chest, and sent him on a rage spiral headed towards the Amishi tribe's lands. And she's apologetic, but not really. She's kind of like, I gotta do what I gotta do, you know?
Yeah.
And through a tour of Irontown and what they're doing, Lady Eboshi begins to show off, like, she's not just a god killer. She is that. She tries to, you know, rid the forest of its spirits, but to make it habitable for humans. And as we've been talking about, some of the people that she takes into her care and makes the structure of her whole society are the women who work the bellows in the iron forgery. No, the iron works.
Forge. So
Forge. Oh, right.
they work,
Forgery is forging signatures.
yeah, that's a different thing. No, yeah,
Yeah.
they work the bellows to keep the fire lit so that the ore can be like smelted down,
Processed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
processed into iron. And they're also a critical part of just all aspects of society, right? Like, they're not
Yes.
weak, shrinking violets by any means. They are
Exactly.
people
Yes.
that whose skills and expertise in physical labor is seen as being positive and is appreciated.
Okay, we're back. We just got a little interrupted again. Yeah, we also meet a group of lepers that have been taken in by Lady Eboshi, who are the people who are actually making the rifles and the weaponry that will take down the forest and help the women become even more empowered to fight back. So, and that's a great scene too. Lady Eboshi is you just learn all about her complicated character of taking in the lesser, the people on the lowest rung of the social hierarchy and elevating them to be useful and to give them something to do and to see these, women of the night and lepers as real people and take them into her
Yeah.
stead. So she is destroying the forest, but she is doing it to protect the people that she sees as the most needing of this help.
Yeah, she is concerned about humans in a deep
Yeah.
and really impactful and powerful, beautiful way, but does
Yes.
not give a fuck about nature.
And of course, Ashitaka is like, why do you have to keep spreading so much hate? Why can't you do the thing? Why can't you live in service? And his scary rage demon curse arm tries to chop off her head at one point, but he, with his rational human thought, stills it. And we are set up with quite the conflict between Ashitaka and Lady Eboshi, although they are definitely playing nice for now. On a escarpment, is that the right word for it? Anyway, they're checking
like
out the
rooftop?
Sure, yeah, it's like the
They're
part on the top of the
yeah.
edge of the gate. Yeah, I don't know what you call it.
I was about to say
Anyway,
a word that I think means pedophilia, so I'm not going to say that because I think that was what I was about to say.
Yes, Ashitaka gets a big old Spidey sense moment and is like, I think San is coming. And it's true. The wolf children and San are launching an attack on Irontown, and people are getting ready for a big fight. And Lady Eboshi is like, I'm going to kill her with my cool new guns. So, but Ashitaka is like, I don't think so. I need to hang out with this chick and learn more about what is making the forest tick, because Lady Eboshi has proven that I can't learn anything else from her. And also, I got the hots for this weird forest chick. So, Princess Mononoke-san infiltrates Irontown in a super awesome way, but she's trapped, and the people almost shoot her down, but Ashitaka, in a fit of romantic or repressed sexual rage, protects her from the wandering errant iron bullets.
Yeah.
Mononoke and Eboshi start fighting each other in the town square and are going at it. But in
about a hot ass cat fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, they've both got like little daggers, but also like big swords, and they're just duking it out, just being two hot ladies doing their thing. Ashitaka's had about enough of this because, of course, his curse is fed by hatred and anger, which is all that these two are wrapped up in. So after twisting the henchman's sword back on itself, because, again, he's got crazy right arm super demon strength in it, he makes a big old speech about not letting hatred rule everything and how his arm is killing him because of this hatred that has been wrought by the iron bullets and trying to take down the forest. Eboshi won't give in, neither will Mononoke, so Ashitaka does the only thing that any man should do when he's stuck between two women who are fighting each other, and knocks them the fuck out.
Knocks them both stone cold out.
It's great. And everybody's like, well, I guess he's got the crazy demon power arm, so we probably shouldn't mess with him and try to kill San ourselves. Ashitaka accidentally, on his way out, gives Eboshi back to the people and makes his way out to bring San back to the forest. But on his way out, a lady with a rifle does an accidental shooting thing on him, and he's got big old bullet hole in his chest now. Somehow, though, he's able to keep walking, and even with the strength of what ought to be 10 men, lifts up the gates of the town and
No big
escapes
deal.
into the forest.
Slipping
Yeah,
on his blood, it's fucking metal as shit.
it is.
And
Yeah.
Yakul is
Kind
there
of.
too. Yakul comes with
And
him.
Yakul is there too. Yeah,
Because
because
Yakul
Yakul is this
is
man's constant companion and really he should get a Best Supporting Actor award.
Yakul is the best. Yakul is simply the best.
Yeah. The wolf children come and pick them up like they're the Uber waiting for them to go back into the forest. And Ashitaka is pretty down down for the count. There's a great scene where San wakes up and the wolves tried to eat Ashitaka's head as they're wandering back into the forest. But San is like, I mean, I get it, but like, let me deal with him,
Knock
please.
it off, guys. Like, please take
Knock
his
it
head
off.
out of your mouth. It would be great if
Yeah.
you do that.
Yes. There's a great moment where some apes begin talking to Mononoke, and they have a kind of, and we start to realize, like, not only are there factions between human and god and spirits in the forest, but there's also different factions among the spirits themselves. Like the wolves and the apes don't have exactly the same idea of how to deal with the human threat. So we've complicated the political agendas of people even more in this world.
The apes also freaked me out when I was a kid because they're always just sort of shadowy figures seen at night with red eyes. And at least in the English version, they have this very like, give us the human.
Yeah.
Him and gain his strength. And it's like very creepy and unsettling.
It's freaky. Mononoke, feeling kind of like, beholden to Ashitaka for saving her life, takes him deep into the forest to ask the forest, the dear god of the forest, the spirit of the forest, essentially. He's like, he, she, it, they, them is basically the big father, mother, parent of the forest itself. And you can ask favors of it to find out if it'll help you. So Mononoke takes Ashitaka deep into the forest and sets him on a cute little island where we're waiting to see. And there's this incredible sequence where we watch as the forest spirit kind of comes to him, and the forest spirit, every time their foot goes down on the ground, plants and things spring up around it as if life itself just springs up around this creature. So Ashitaka,
but then also importantly, they spring up and then die, implying that nature is also neutral.
Yes, the deer god is the they have a Japanese name. Shishigami he's the god of life and death in the forest and all things. So anyway, through this magical dream sequence, Ashitaka is brought back into good health. He wakes up from this sort of mystical vision and realizes that the bullet hole is gone and he's good again. But what's still there? His demon curse arm.
And it's bigger. Like the curse is spreading.
It's like he was like, he's like, this is no good. I don't feel good about this at all.
No, not what I wanted. Thanks, though.
Yes. So again, getting back, and this also sets up that San, although she hates humans, is starting to get intrigued by this guy who seems to be on the side of the forest, but also seems to be on the side of no one. She's like, I don't get this guy. He's kind of just trying to be peaceful, and like, I don't get that. What's going on?
I don't understand.
Yeah. As the conflict between all these various factions escalates, Ashitaka uncovers some deeper tensions within the world. The next thing that happens is that we are revealed more factions in the wars in the various assemblages of the forest spirits. The boars, who are also where our original demon god Nago came from, come to the aid, or they come to discuss what to do about the humans, basically, with the wolf gods.
Pesky bipedal motherfuckers.
That's right. Yeah. So big old scary blind boar god Akoto comes and is like, we're gonna face the humans in full on combat because they killed our man Nago and he was beautiful and strong, and these humans need to die because they suck hard.
Hard.
Yeah. And the wolf gods are
And
like, I don't know if you can do that. You're probably walking into a trap, guys.
well, and it's like the boars are starting to lose their divinity. They're getting smaller and stupider, right? Like,
Hmm.
so there's these kind of two big boar gods, and then the rest of the boars can't speak. They're small, quote
They're
unquote
becoming
small. They're the
dumb.
size.
One
They're
day we
becoming
will be nothing but stupid game for the humans to hunt. Whoa.
dumb.
The boars are great because they're just like, we don't care if we all die. We're gonna go out in a blaze of glory and screw these people up because they need to get what's coming to them.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, while this is happening, and Ashitaka is beginning to come to and realize that he is fated to die from this curse, and all he can do is really try to mend the peace between people. Simultaneously, there's a powerful samurai lord named Asano who's seeking to conquer Irontown. He's sent there by, and the emperor has also sent a monk, Jiko, who you remember from the beginning,
Hi.
on a mission of the emperor's own. Um, the emperor believes that with the head of the forest spirit, he can gain immortality. So he is, through Jiko, is contracted Lady Eboshi, who's already on a forest destroying mission, to basically decapitate the forest spirit and bring the emperor his head. And in return, he will leave her alone and not screw with Irontown. I mean, I think for like a tariff or a tax on the iron or whatever, but
It's like
still.
a big yikes. It's a big yikes.
Yeah. You know, also watching it this time, I feel like I finally realized, like, man, okay, so between the humans, there are other factions too. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
not just. I thought that the samurai and the shoguns attacking Irontown were the emperor's people, but they're actually a
No.
rival shogunate's people,
Yes.
men who are
Yes.
attacking the town for their own purposes, who want to just take over the iron. And also, the
Yes.
emperor is involved separately with this troop of monks. So there's Eboshi, Jiko and the Emperor, and Asano, who are all kind of vying for influence on Irontown based on the
It's
the hard work that Eboshi has done to ratchet it up, you know? And I was like, this is crazy. Like, there's multiple factions in this, again, kids movie for kids, supposedly. Well,
supposedly it's fully not.
that's
Like it's not
difficult
for
to
kids.
say. Like, it's,
I
yeah,
know.
anime has a different
They have a different
context in
barometer.
Japan.
Well,
Yeah,
and
for what is for kids
it
and adults.
it is again like in like historically like this is full on feudal ass Japan.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, these people
fully,
are all
fully,
vying
fully
for control all the time.
all the time.
Even the emperor isn't strong enough to have complete control over the entire countryside of Japan.
Yeah.
So we get Jigo coming to talk to Eboshi about getting the head of the forest spirit. And she's like, I'll honor my contract. Interestingly, he's like, this shit is from the emperor, so you better pay attention. Eboshi flexes her muscle by showing the women of the town the letter from the emperor, and they're like, who's that? Is he important? And Jiko's like, all right, I see you, Eboshi. I got you.
I see
You're
what's up
you're a tough
there.
you're a tough bitch to fuck with. I got you.
Yeah.
I'll do my best. So Jiko sends his men, who appear to be monks, but I think are like
They're
actual
mercenaries.
freaking ninja mercenaries, into the
Yeah.
forest to start taking care of business. Iboshi is going to use the Emperor, Jigo's men, to fight off the forest spirits, specifically the boars, in a big, all-out, bare-knuckle boxing Marvel shoot 'em up fight
It is
match
a
that's going to rival
real
all things. It's a
yeah.
showdown.
It's It is a showdown for the ages.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of different factions. There's San and the Wolf Gods who want to kill Lady Eboshi for the horrible stuff she's done, but they basically are only after Eboshi. There's the Boar Gods and Akoto who are like, fuck everyone in Irontown. We're going to kill everybody, and we don't care if we're walking into a trap. Uh, there's Lady Eboshi, who's trying to clear the forest of the spirits and wants to protect the humans in her care. There's Jiko and the Emperor, who are trying to get the head of the forest spirit. There's Asano, who's trying to take over the town of Irontown and kill everyone there and take the iron. And caught in the middle of it all, there's Ashitaka, who just wants everyone to be peaceful and get along, guys. Like, can we just, like, can we please, like, just do a breathing exercise?
He's being a real middle child about it.
He's being a real middle child. He's like, guys, mom and dad, stop fighting. Don't get a divorce. Oh, man. So there's a beautiful scene where Ashitaka wakes up in the forest in the middle of his healing, and he wakes up on a bed of straw next to Mononoke and kind of looks at her longingly like, maybe I could, perhaps. But as he encountered, a little something. But as he goes out to enjoy the calm serenity of the night of the Japanese countryside, he has a interaction with Moro, San's mother for all intents and purposes, the wolf god mother, who I think is voiced by a man in Japanese dub, which is really fascinating.
Even though she's like the character is referred to as mother, I think has a male voice, but in the English version has a really kick-ass female actor doing the voice. I don't know who it is. But...
And my friend Dax, who's very well versed in all anime things, who we should have on as a guest for some other Ghibli or anime thing, was saying that the wolf song that plays on the soundtrack, that vocalist, you know, is very high. That's apparently a male vocalist.
The fuck?
Which is pretty wild. So anyway, Ashitaka and Moro have a conversation, further developing the conflict between humans and spirits, but very specifically between Ashitaka and Mononoke. Moro is like, San is a girl of the forest, and how can you it's basically like the talk you would get from a dad before you ask for his daughter's hand in marriage. Like, what do you think you're doing, dude? Like, you're a human and you stink, and my beautiful ugly daughter is also a human, but she's a wolf. Like, and
she's actually a wolf.
And how are you gonna make her happy, essentially, is what the conversation boils down to.
Look, dude, I get that you're in love with her, but straight up, you suck.
And also, like, this fight that you're trying to stop, this hatred, you're like, the wheels are in motion, baby. Like, you can't do nothing. You're going up against gods and armies. Like, who the hell do you think you are? And Ashitaka's like, I'm Ashitaka.
He's like, I am the best, actually. So I will fix it.
Ashitaka serves as a great sort of Miyazaki protagonist, because Miyazaki protagonists tend to be more like characters that have sort of like very deep, like, wants and needs. They tend to be more like audience surrogates, and surrogates for all that is like good and pure in the world. Like Nausicaa, a heroine of one of Miyazaki's first movies, is also very much like this. She's kind of like Ashitaka and Nausicaa are both kind of like surrogates for goodness, to be sort of like, like, goodness can reign supreme, and like, we must eradicate hatred and evil in this world. And in a lot of ways, like, it makes sense, and yet I also don't know how much Miyazaki actually believes that, despite he
I
wants to
know.
believe it, right? He's
I think he's
aspirational and optimistic like most people, but he
yes.
also recognizes that people in the world and forces are beyond your
They
control and
fucking
shit's
suck.
fucked up,
Yes.
So
This is also a rare Miyazaki film that has a lot of screen time to a male protagonist. I would
yes.
say
Hmm.
almost all of Miyazaki's films have a young female protagonist, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
But even in that, like the way that Ashitaka is depicted throughout the film
Hmm.
is as a masculine figure, but a very soft, considerate, patient,
Yeah.
like
But
he
strong
doesn't,
too.
but very strong and very has a lot of conviction and doesn't fall into this sort of more traditional idea of masculinity as well, which I always really like seeing in films where there are male
Always.
protagonists.
Yeah. Gotta have it.
Gotta
Um,
have it.
all right, let's get into the climax of this film. We're getting into the beginnings of
Let's,
what will become one of the most epic endings in any movie
dude, it's
ever.
so fucking epic. It's explosions, death, insanity. It's great. Go.
Yeah. Um, essentially, the Lady Eboshi is going into the forest to chop off the head of the deer god, leaving the women and some men behind to defend Irontown. The men are going off to fight with Jigo's men against the boar people, the boar gods. Um, the boars are prepping themselves for war with their war paint and basically are walking into a trap. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Moro, the wolf god mother, is like, these boars, who do they think they are? I'm going to save
Stupid
my
boys.
stupid boys. I'm going to save my strength and bite off Lady Eboshi's head. San, Princess Mononoke, is like, leader of the boars. Okoto is blind. He doesn't know what's going on. I need to go help him. Like, it might be a losing battle, but like, I have to defend the forest against these humans. Everybody's like, you gotta do what you gotta do, girl. So get to it. The boars walk right into a trap. All the crazy
Oh man.
monk ninjas are just throwing grenades down at them, which are very cool, kind of like Iron Age grenades made out of like weird rock and shit that they just
It's
like,
so cool. And
yeah.
and you get this amazing scene of like umpteen numbers of boars running across a field, and just at the end of the field they hit a wall of explosion, and then there's just this wall of like dead boars that just showers everywhere, and it's fucking insane, and I love it. I mean, I don't love it, but I
Yeah.
love it.
People who lived through World War II really are obsessed with just shit blowing up everywhere. It seems like it was really traumatic.
It seems like maybe there's a deeper trauma there, but let's not touch that. We'll talk about it when we
Yeah.
do a Grave of the Fireflies episode. Just kidding, it's too sad.
If we could possibly make that movie funny, it would be a great challenge.
There's no way. There's no way.
um, Ashitaka, I think at this point has basically kind of recognized that there's not a lot he can do, and Moro has kind of kicked him out of the forest and is like, I think you better get going. You either need to deal with the humans, but you you can't go home, but you can't stay here. You know what I'm trying to say. Get
Yes.
out of my fucking forest.
And this
He's
is
like,
kind of when
okay.
and this is also kind of when Ashitaka is just like, I can't save anybody. I can't deal with these massive forces, but at least I can try to save San. I can at least try to save Mononoke. Like that's
Mhm.
if I can do that, I'll be okay. I'll be successful. And it's really sweet.
Yeah. Important callback. He asks one of the wolf kids to bring San the crystal dagger necklace that his sister Kaya gave him, and she receives it later on and is like, "Oh my god, it's so beautiful.
Oh my god, does he like me? Oh my god.
I think he
It's
might
great.
like me." So Ashitaka is now making his way back past Irontown and realizes it's under full assault by a bunch of angry samurai and is like, hey, I need to do something about this. Okay, wait, help me work through what is going on here.
Okay,
He is going to he helps. He's like talking to Toki and is like, "Oh, I think he learns from her that Eboshi
yeah,
wants to take the head of the forest spirit." And he's like,
yeah.
"That's crazy. Like we can't let her do that."
He's like,
And
that is
also,
Looney Tunes. No.
yeah, that's Looney Tunes. I got to do something about that. And also San's in there and I need to save her from what's going on or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
There's three,
Irontown's mhm.
yeah, there's these three different battles happening basically at one time in this massive
Yeah.
crescendo.
There's like the Siege of Irontown.
Siege
There's
of
like the
Irontown.
assault on the boards, and then there's Lady Eboshi and Jigo going through the forest to like
Yes.
find the forest spirit.
Yes.
So Ashitaka's like, this is nuts. Like I have to help in any way that I can. So he's like, I'm gonna go. Oh, he learns from the people that in Irontown that all this is happening and that San is probably involved in the assault on the boars. So he's
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna go save my girl. And also, we have to stop Lady Eboshi from killing the forest spirit because that's cray cray.
That's like
Um,
super bad for everybody, y'all. Like it's
yeah,
super bad.
yeah. And he and Yakul take off, pursued by samurais with really strong bows and arrows, and is like,
Mm.
oh, yeah. He's running away, and then unfortunately Yakul gets it in the leg as they're pursued
He gets an
by
arrow
samurai.
in the leg. Sweet baby Yakul, who is just a little angel.
He does nothing but good things for. Oh my god, earlier when the forest god was like helping him, was like healing Ashitaka, San was like, yeah, cool, didn't leave your side for a second. Like most animals are scared to death of this forest spirit, and he was just
Yeah.
like, I'm just chill out with my guy because he's
Yakul's
my
like
buddy.
Yakul's like, I'm a super good red elk. Actually, I am good boy, so I stay.
Again, superhuman. Yeah, best supporting actor. Yeah,
Best
cool
supporting
for Red
actor.
Elk. Ashitaka finds his way to the aftermath of the battle between
Mhm.
the men of Irontown who are fighting with the ninja monks and the boars, and it's just like piles of dead
Oh,
bodies
it is
everywhere. It's
carnage.
effed up. It's nasty. So
And it
he's
is
like,
like,
oh man,
and this is when too, like, the men of Irontown that Lady Eboshi sent, she was
Mhm.
basically like, okay, they're gonna defend everybody, but then the mercenary ninjas were like, no, we're using the men of Irontown fully as bait. Like, we don't give a shit about them at all. And so
Exactly.
all
Yeah.
of these men have died, all of these boars have died. Like, it is mass destruction on a like
Yeah.
traumatic, huge scale.
Yeah. In classic Ashitaka fashion,
Ugh.
a true Sweden, if you will, a true middleman. He's
Switzerland.
like,
He's
men,
Switzerland in
he
World
is
War II. You know what
Switzerland.
I'm saying?
Sorry, yes, Switzerland is what I meant. Yes, he's pure. He's acting very Swiss in this moment. He's like, men, you got to get back to Irontown and defend your ladies because there's a
Yes.
bunch of samurai coming and they're gonna die if you don't go help them. And he's also like, oh, everyone says that there was this crazy wolf girl in the middle of this fray, and now she's, I think, heading back into the forest trying to escape with the boars, and I need to go save my girl. So he suits up, lets Yakul take a breather, and heads into the forest with one of the wolf children that he saves from the carnage from under a giant
Yeah.
pile of pig carcasses. Meanwhile, San is in the forest, and Akoto is like fully
Oh,
blind with nasty shit in his eyes. And he's like,
it's so gross.
I'm a big old proud boar, and I'm just going on my way to try to whatever. So Akoto is like, I'm dying. My people are dying. I don't know where I'm going. San is leading me through the forest, and I'm bleeding out like crazy. He's dumping
And
like a gallon of blood every 5 seconds.
San is trying so hard to just be like, we just need to get you to the realm of the forest spirit to heal you. We need to do this. And this is when Akoto starts going like full crazy. He's like,
Yeah. Well,
no,
he smells
yes.
the ninja warriors, the ninja monk warriors have clothed themselves in boar skin and painted themselves with boar blood.
And
So
it's so
to his
gross.
sense of
It's so
smell,
gross.
and he's got a big old snout on him, He's
Like,
like, my warriors have come back to life. And San's like, no, they haven't. They're tricking you. But
no.
he's like, I don't care. I'm going to the deer god to ask for his assistance in killing the humans. Let's get going. And he just like a semi truck just keeps barreling forward and
And
mashing
he
into
starts
rocks.
and he starts like raging out. Like he is starting to get fueled by the rage and hatred of the loss of his soldiers, his boars, all
Yeah.
of that. And
We
it's
can
so gross.
we can
So
only
gross.
assume that, much like Nago, who had a single iron ball lodged in his stomach, that this guy probably has like 100 bullets and iron balls lodged in him. And what happens to him? What do you expect to happen to a boar god who's filled with rage and hate and also nasty human iron? He also begins to get taken over by the squirmy demon worm spirit. And yeah, his rage begins to take fully a hold of him. And it's similarly disgusting to what happened at the beginning of this
And it
movie.
starts because San is next to him and she's trying to help him and save him. It starts to overtake her as well.
Yes, she starts to get nasty little wormy things.
So gross. So gross.
She is trying to fend off the demon spirit and gets knocked in the head with a rock and falls onto Akoto's thing. Okay. Ashitaka's on his way to the middle of the forest. He's runs into Lady Eboshi and he's like, you need to go back to Irontown. Stop filling the world with hate and don't try to kill the deer god. And she's like, is this a trick? Are you trying to trick me right now? He's like, no, I want people to live.
He's like, why the fuck would I lie to you about this? I have 0 horses in this race.
Exactly, yeah. And then he fucks off into the forest, and she's like, well, I'm going to still get the deer god's head, because screw it. Ashitaka, and okay, so now we're back at the realm of the forest spirit where the cool Healy tree is. Moro's waiting in the river. Ashitaka shows up, is like, where is everybody? Akoto shows up looking like a crazy demon spirit. All these crazy ninja warriors in their boar skin are also crowding around Ashitaka and like, let us kill this guy. And he's like, I don't think so. My not girlfriend is in there who I want to do something with. So I gotta go save her.
I would like to give her a singular kiss on the mouth, please.
That's pretty much as innocent as it could possibly get. He tries to save her, gets flung off. But within all of this within all of this hullabaloo, we suddenly get the forest spirit entering the fray. And Akoto and Moro both kind of chill out for a second in the awesome presence of the deer god. And what does the spirit of the forest do? Kills them both.
just murks them.
He lets them die. Akoto is full of rage and needs to pass on. Yeah. Moro is similarly battle bedraggled and is like, I've lived a good life. I need to give it some rest, you know. Meanwhile, hiding in the forest, Jigo and Lady Eboshi are like, wait a minute, this is our chance. Ashitaka led us right to him. We're going to get this motherfucker's head off his top. I think that once Akoto is down, then San kind of comes out of it and Ashitaka takes her and goes into the lake to try to get the demon hatred off of her. So
she kind of also is starting to have demon marks on her at this time too, isn't she? No.
Yes.
That's later.
Yeah. She's getting the things situated. Yeah. So Eboshi's like, all right, this is my chance. Time to show off my marksmanship skills. And she tries once. The head doesn't fall off of the deer god. And the deer god, Shishigami, is like looking at her like, oh, by the way, the deer god Shishigami is like, it's like a deer, but it's got chicken feet and big old furry thing and like a human head.
And like a human
More or
face,
less.
not a head, just a
Yeah.
human face. It is a in the realm of like what a god could look like.
Incredible designs of animated
It is
movies.
the most incredible depiction of this like weird uncanny valley creature that
Mhm.
kind of looks like a thing but also looks like all of the other things in that it could. It's weird and I love it.
It's every creature you could possibly encounter in the
No,
forest
I
rolled
love
into
it.
one
It's so good.
Katamari Damacy dough roll.
Yes.
um, Lady Eboshi, despite the Shishigami covering her rifle in plants to try to get her to stop trying to kill him. Oh, at this point, when the world transitions from night to day, the
Oh
deer
yes,
god
this is
turns
mhm.
into the Night Walker, which is a giant spirit walking across the night sky and basically protecting the forest.
Who looks like if you saw a massive like tiger shark slash iguana that was in the shape of a man but also translucent.
Yeah, that's a good description. Um, he's doing his transition thing and it's like, it's nighttime. I'm just doing my nighttime Betty Bye routine. I'm putting on my
Bye.
jammies. And Lady Eboshi's like, no, you're not. You're going to get your head blown off. And he's like, I don't think so. And she's like, I do think so. And shoots him a second time. And this time, his head gets blown off. And
His head
it's
fully gets blown off, and it's bad.
chaos ensues because guess what?
Yeah,
Deer gods aren't very nice once you eradicate one of the most important appendages of their body.
they're not the most amenable to having their head blown off, and instead
Mm-mm.
shoot out a killer goo in all directions.
The forest spirit becomes a giant pile of angry goo that if you touch it, you die. And it's basically filling in all the empty spaces of everywhere in the forest looking for its head.
Yes,
Um,
it is. It wants its head back, and it cannot find it because they've like put it in a big cylinder jar thing.
yes. Lady Eboshi and Jiko are like, we did it. And Ashitaka's like, you actually did it. You crazy.
motherfuckers!
During that, so they're trying to haul ass out of the forest. Meanwhile, Moro's head has come back to life to flip through the forest and bite Lady Eboshi's arm off. Okay,
Fuck yeah.
now again, Ashitaka, Mr. Japanese Switzerland, is like, well, I gotta save San and I gotta save Lady Eboshi. He takes them, and her henchmen, and takes them through the water, which importantly, somehow the forest spirit doesn't have to get into or whatever. Maybe there's another water spirit that does everything else.
Clear.
But they start to escape through the forest, narrowly avoiding a bunch of times when they could have gotten touched by this forest spirit goo.
It's like chemical
Jigo,
weapons grade goo.
Yeah. Jigo gets out of the forest with the head and his henchmen and is hauling ass out of there to get back to safety. So we can only assume that they are pursued all night through the forest by this crazy goo, and people are getting killed left and right in the forest. Oh, and the Kadamas are like falling out of the trees
They're so
because
sad.
they're like,
they start dying because they're just
what
get
happened
like
to Papa? What happened to Mama?
they get super sad faces and they just start like slowly dying out of the trees, and
Yeah.
it's really sad because the forest is dying. The Kudamas
Yeah.
are like protection spirits and a sign that the forest is healthy. It's a
Yeah.
sign that the forest is alive. And they start
Yeah.
dying and it's really sad.
Yeah. Shout out, okay, moment, production moment, or whatever, artistic merit of the movie moment. So, two things. A, Joe Hisaishi's score is always incredible. The theme of this is one of the best things ever written.
this is the like height of music, I think. It's beautiful orchestral music. It's incredible.
Yeah. But this section in particular, listening to it this time, I realized how freaky the music score is. And I don't know what they did, but it's a great piece of music, and it's very unsettling as the forest starts to
Yes.
destroy itself.
It sounds like I don't know, it sounds like they put like a traditional orchestral piece of music through like 17 Moog synthesizers to make it just like off
Yes.
somehow. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. It's great. It's
Yeah.
very unsettling.
Yeah. So they're racing through the forest, and then Ashitaka makes his way back to Irontown to warn all the people there that, like, you probably shouldn't be
You
worried
have to
about the
get out.
samurais assaulting you. Like, there's a giant contingent of forest spirit goo that's coming to kill everyone and look for its head. So we're going to try to help. At this
But like
point, San
y'all better
and
get to step in.
yeah, at this point, San and the wolf child and Ashitaka are all kind of pursuing getting the head back. It must be returned by human hands, as he points out.
Yeah.
So there's a great climactic chase up the mountain where they're encountering Jigo, and he's like, I ain't giving you a head. And he's like, you have to return it. And he's like, I don't think so. I like the Emperor's super money. And also, that thing's practically dead. As soon as the sun comes up, little forest Nightwalker is going to be a bad memory. So screw this guy. And Ashitaka's like, you're nuts.
You're a crazy person. Do you not
Give
see
him
the deadly goo?
Yeah. The head itself, which is in sort of like this metal box or whatever, is also emanating goo. And in a tussle between trying to get the head back, falls out and starts rolling down the mountain. Jigo gets it straight, tries to catch it, and doesn't do a good job. And everybody ends up on a tiny little stone island in the middle of a giant forest of death goo, or rather a lake, you could say, of death goo. For anybody who's keeping tabs, the people of Irontown have made it into the water and are more or less protected, hanging out on some crazy raft thing. Yeah. Ashitaka and San finally convince Jigo to give the thing back as they're on the brink of death's doorstep, and holding the head aloft, they both begin to get covered, their entire bodies, in the purple demon curse. It seems as if the curse and the poison is taking over their bodies, but
this is also a sweet moment too, where like San and Ashitaka are both raising it, but like San like puts his arm around
San's. Oh yeah, that was so sweet. Yeah,
and he
Miyazaki is the king of like tiny little moments like that bring all of these characters to life.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so they give the forest god. Yeah, so the forest god gets his head back. The Night Walker gets his head back and starts to become whole again. It seems as though everything is returning to normal, but forest gods are slow creatures. They work at their own pace, and they cannot this one can't really speed it up to wait for, he's like, the sun's coming up. I'm going to take my time. I could die, but whatever. So gets his head back, becomes full, but as the sun comes up over the horizon, they haven't made their transition back into the deer god for the daytime. And the forest spirit falls into the water, causes a big old ruckus.
Explosion.
Irontown gets destroyed. Everyone's holding on for dear life. And Irontown, for all intents and purposes, is flushed off the face of the
ground. It is destroyed.
And so is the forest. There is kind of just as the wind sweeps everything away, we're treated to a beautiful mountainside that definitely seems bereft of life.
It's just desolate. Absolutely desolate.
And we hold on this shot for what feels like a whole 20 seconds or something. But surprisingly, suddenly, the vegetation on the countryside begins to bloom and come back to life. And it seems as though through all of this, the forest spirit has, with the eradication of Irontown and the return of their head, has taken it upon themselves to breed new springtime life into the countryside. And it's very beautiful. We get some what you might consider time-lapse photography.
Gorgeous.
It's not photography, animation of
Animation.
everything coming back, and the world has been renewed, essentially.
Yeah.
Heroku's
And
like,
Lady-
I didn't know the forest spirit made the trees grow. It's like, the fuck did you think?
The fuck you think
was
they're doing? Like,
you crazy asshole.
and like, so Lady Eboshi's had her arm ripped off, but she's still alive, and she basically tells the people of Irontown, like, we're going to rebuild, but we have to do it differently this time. Like, this was really fucked up, what we did, and we need to live a little bit more in harmony with nature, because obviously nature is not super stoked about what's been going on. So we better be
Not
better.
happy about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We cut to Ashitaka and San chilling in the grass, looking like they got a nice little cuddle in as the world kind of ripped itself apart. And they look upon the grass and are like, wow, everything's back to normal. And San's like, it's not back to normal. And he's like, I know. Both of them kind of come to a conclusion that they are going to do what they both have to do. And San, although they love each other very much, they have different missions in this life. And San is going to go live in the forest and help rebuild the spirit of the forest and help continue the life of the wolf cubs, children. And Ashitaka is going to go back to Irontown and help the humans rebuild. And they're going to see each other. They're going to kind of do like a long short distance thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
and it's cool because when they wake up, Ashitaka's San doesn't have any of the like poison marks on her anymore, and Ashitaka's have started to fade and disappear as well.
He has a lot less of the curse on him, leaving us with the potential implication that it is going away. It's not gone, and that's also important. I think it's
not gone.
This is what makes it a Japanese movie and not an American movie.
They're like it's still
good, but is it good?
But is it?
It's probably good, but is it?
But is it though? It could be bad still.
Yeah.
And then one of the last scenes of the movie is a little twig like growing back, and then a little Kudama shows up and is just like sitting next to the twig and is like, "Hi, friend," and the twig is like, "Hi, friend," and then that's it. And that's so beautiful and it's so cute.
Every time I think it's not going to get me, and then it gets me again. I'm like, there's no movie, not really any movie that I've ever had this kind of experience with, where like every time I watch it, I have the same emotional reaction to it. I'm like, how does it do it every time? I know I've seen this movie like 50 times across in the course of my life, probably, maybe more. And every time I'm like, I'm not gonna like, yeah, I know what happens, but it gets me every time. I don't get it.
It's so, I think it's partially just that the characters are all so compelling and the world is so compelling, and it just, it hits you with those little unexpected moments, right? Like Ashitaka putting his arm around San, the Kudama coming back to the forest, like these little moments of connection and beauty that are so specific and precious that you're just like, oh god, it did it again. And the music too, and the visuals, the whole thing, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Honestly, there's not, it's my assertion that there's not a wasted frame in this movie.
No,
every single,
not.
And it's even more impressive made by the fact that this is a traditionally animated 2D movie with some CG thrown in there for good measure. It was 1997, but it's essentially made the old way, and like
Yeah.
every frame is painstakingly thought about and mulled over. And it's like there is absolutely no single frame you could take out of this movie without it affecting something, in my humble opinion. Maybe that's a bit of a overstatement, but it's like, but the timing even is meticulously planned out, like how long the pauses are. So let's talk final thoughts and takeaways. I also have some fun trivia facts that might be worth mentioning.
Ooh, I love trivia facts. Go for it.
Okay, so here's a couple things that I got off of the internets. Okay, this is a sad one, but I think it's worth mentioning for the legacy of this movie. Kazuo Oga, the film's art director, played a pivotal role in crafting the movie's lush and intricate backgrounds. His dedication to realism and detail was so intense that he spent 2 years creating the background paintings that brought the forest to life. He was so pushed, in fact, that during the production of this movie, he passed away from what I believe was a heart attack. Yeah, pretty wild. It was, I mean, as it is the case on many productions. Whoops, I just realized my fan was on, but that's okay. He overworked himself, and possibly Miyazaki overworked him too. There's not much of a, but this is the way that productions work, and people who are super dedicated like this and pushed by people who have a lot writing on this. This is sadly the state that things that happen on productions, people can be so pushed to be the best that they end up hurting themselves.
Well, I was just going to say, Mononoke in Japanese is like a catch-all term for a variety of different spirits, it sounds like. And Mononoke in particular are spirits that possess humans with vengeful feelings or make them suffer.
Gotcha. Cool.
Whatever. So, yeah.
I love that.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Love it.
Princess Mononoke was a huge success when it was released. It was, at the time, the highest grossing film in Japan, which I think was overtaken by Spirited Away just a few short years later, Miyazaki's next film. It also won the Japan Academy Prize for Best Picture, basically Japan's Academy Award for Best Picture, and apparently was the first animated film to do so. What are your thoughts and takeaways for Princess Mononoke, Mare?
This film is beautiful in all of its everything that we've talked about. Yeah. It is so indescribably beautiful, well thought out, well designed, executed, all of the things. I love this film. And I'm not scared of it anymore. So that's good. That's a good update for me, for my life.
I can't add too much more to that. It's one of my favorite films of all times. All times? Yeah. All times.
All the times.
All the times. Any times, and it's great to watch this movie. I love it to death. I will love it till my dying day. I'm so glad it exists in the world. It's given, every time I watch it, it gives me something new, which is...
Yeah.
What cinema is all about, and I can't get enough of it every time I watch it. I try not to watch it too much because I don't want to ruin the specialness of it,
I know, I do the same thing, but also just, again, in the realm of things that made me an absolutely unrepentant plant nerd, I feel like Princess Mononoke is up there of being like, I believe in the world and nature is more important, and I think that we need to be nice to nature.
And it turned me into a cinema and animation nerd. So it gave both of us a lot from the earliest times we can remember.
God, yeah. Well, now, do you know what it's time for, Evan?
Is it time for the vibe check?
Vibe check! Vibe check!
Vibe check! Vibe check!
How are the vibes? How are the vibes for you?
I think that, okay, so the story of this movie is 100%. Oh, quick reminder, in lieu of reviews of this movie, our version of the review is how good is the story? How good are the vibes?
That's it.
That's it. You can also read my review of this movie on LetterBoxd at Evan Kerna, but that's not what this is. This is just the vibe check.
Vibe check.
Story is 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, I keep coming back to it. It gets more layered the more I watch it, which is difficult to comprehend how it does that. And as far as vibes, I mean, this movie, I would not say that it's all vibes, but it is great vibes. It is like solidly half the time is vibes. There's a great concept that in Japan called ma, which is like the silence between things. And this movie, for as much as it pushes through the story, also gives you great moments of ma, of silence. And it's part of the timing of everything. So I'd say that like the vibes on this they're great vibes, obviously, but like there's times when the movie has to take care of business and remind you that like shit is going down. So I wouldn't say that it's like vibes all the time, but the times that there are vibes, they're good. They're great.
Very strong. I mean, I think I fall in the camp of great story, good vibes on this one.
I feel that.
Of where like the vibes are very strong. They are there. Mm-hmm. It is important, but the story is the driving force of this film. And the story is really it's incredible. And
it's driven by the characters too, which is like what you want a good story to be able to do.
Yeah, the vibes are there to support, but not overtake the story and the characters.
Yes.
So yeah, that's our official takeaways. So Evan, people can find you on LetterBoxd at Evan Kerna, Kohene.
That's me.
You can find us on YouTube at Brother Sibling Movie, all one word. Same is true of Instagram. Yep. You can find me at Lawn Daddy Lives Here on Instagram. Still didn't look up how to spell it or if there's underscores or hyphens in it. I can't remember.
Who needs to spell anything on the internet?
Just look up Lawn Daddy Lives Here. There's one of them. It's me.
Yeah, you're not going to find anybody else with that long-ass name.
It's just me.
And you can find me on almost all the socials, Instagram and YouTube, as Art of Evan K, all one word, Art of Evan K on Instagram, on the YouTube channel, and check out my website, artofevank.com, and you can see what I'm doing these days.
Great. And so we look forward to talking to you next week with the continuation of this season's theme of 90s sci-fi and fantasy movies.
Thanks for joining us on the journey through the forests, the forest of the deer god and everything else, and Irontown through ancient Japan and the mythology therein. Go watch Princess Mononoke and any Studio Ghibli movie you can get your hands on. They're well worth it.
They are. All right, y'all. Love you very much. Bye.
We love you. Take it easy and go watch some movies with your siblings.
Go watch a movie with your siblings.
Bye for now.